And now we welcome on a very special guest. She's an actress, model, and an author, now an author, Rachel Greenbaum Moretti. How's it going?
Hi, I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing
Good.
well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me on. This is so exciting.
This is great. So we'll get right into it. You have a brand new book out. It's called The Whale's Boy. It's a very interesting book. So I would say it's a mix between like mystery and romance. Can you tell our listeners like a quick like synopsis of it real quick? I don't want to give too much away. That's why.
For sure. You actually hit the nail right on the head when you kind of gave those two genres. What I really wanted to do is kind of do a little bit of a coming of age story. So it follows a 16-year-old girl that basically has one of the most traumatic things happen in her life. She loses her mother. And on top of that, she's basically uprooted from her hometown in Michigan to move to Illinois. And it's just a huge thing of traumatic events that kind of happened to her. And she's kind of, in that 16 phase, which we all know is one of the hardest times in anybody's life. So she's not only losing all her friends and then her mom, but she's kind of moving to a new place and starting over. And she moves into this mansion and she slowly begins to hear about this eerie tale that kind of follows the mansion that she lives in. And to kind of gain popularity and kind of, make her way in with some of the people at her school, she begins to kind of like poke the bear, so to say, and make up these stories. However, the more times that she makes these stories up, she starts to notice little things like being moved in odd places or begins to notice odd sounds kind of coming in her home. And she realizes that there may be more to the tale than she actually realizes. And she could be a key element in unraveling what the story behind her mansion is.
Wow. Is this based on, a true story, or is there inspiration or something on this book?
I wish I was that interesting to say that I lived in a haunted place. But it's funny you said that because I had a really odd experience in college. And no one knows this. So you guys and my best friend are the only people that know about this. But there's a scene in the book where Angelica has like an odd experience in a girl's washroom. And that was loosely based on something that kind of happened to me. I went to Concordia University in River Forest. And it's a very old university. And the theology building, which we had like our religion classes, allegedly had a haunted washroom. And
Wow.
just like Angelica, I'm a very skeptical person when it comes to things like that. And I remember having a weird experience of like this person like pouring water in the stall next to me and just like mumbling like odd things under their breath. And I remember like looking underneath the stall, like what is going on, and not seeing anyone, and just like flying up and like running out the bathroom.
Wow.
Now,
That's insane.
whether or not that was actually like my mind playing tricks on me or someone just in a farther down stall, I don't know, because I jetted out of there. But that kind of inspired a little bit of that scene where something kind of happens to her as well in a washroom.
Wow.
That's
Freaky
intense.
stuff.
I got the chills there for a bit.
Yeah, I know.
I kind of got goosebumps again too, reliving that memory. I pushed it to the back of my head, to be honest.
Wow. So do you hide any like secrets or like hidden gems for people like inside your book?
So I'm like a huge like old era type of like reader. And one of the things that I'm really proud of is you don't kind of see too often a spin on like old period pieces. So trying not to give too much away. There is like a early like 1900s, late 1800s type of spin in the book. Granted, it's like I said, it's very loosely based off of events, but I wanted to kind of bring the past and the future and kind of combine it together and make a story. And you don't really see too much of that nowadays in modern like young adult fiction. You've seen it a little bit like early 2000s, but I haven't seen anything like that late 2000s. So I'm really excited to see, you know, all those history buffs that love Pride and Prejudice, Jane Eyre, Wuthering Heights, all those type of gurus that kind of like invest their time in reading and stuff like that, to kind of get a new modern spin and twist on it.
Wow. What is the most difficult part of your artistic process when you're writing?
I think my thing, and it's so funny because last night I kind of had this just idea of a story, and I woke up at 3 a.m. and I literally just like laid there thinking about it. And what I like to say is, whenever you're creating a story, your entire like vibe goes into it, and it'll literally wake you up, because those characters, I like to think of them more than just like words, but they're actually flesh and bone, and they kind of take on their own personalities. And if they want something to be like written down or something to be said, like I'll wake up and I'll have to like get up and start typing or writing down my notes. So I feel like you literally like can't sleep until
Wow.
something is done. And even with this book, even though it took me a couple of years, it literally would just like wake me up. I would like have a dream or something, for example, and I'd be like, wow, like this is really interesting. I kind of want to play on this scenario. And there were so many times that I had wrote it a certain way, and I just felt as if I wasn't being authentic to how that character would act or what motive they would have. So I just scratched it all together and would redo it. So I think I'm a perfectionist when it comes to something like that, and that can take a lot of energy to kind
Wow.
of, you know, get it to where you want people to read it.
That's very artistic, if I would say, as well, because your mind is always running, even at 3 a.m. That's
for sure.
crazy.
They say it's the witching hour, so maybe that's what it is. This is kind of a gloomy ghost story.
What does the witching hour mean? Because they use that term in like sports too. It's like something
Really?
weird like that happens.
Yeah, I know. I used to watch a lot of Paranormal State, which I don't know why I did that. It would scare the crap out of me. But that's one of the terms that they would use. I guess like 3 a.m. is like where paranormal things happen or whatnot. So my like superstitious self kind of, whenever I do wake up, I'm like, okay, let me turn all my lights on before I start writing, and I'll have to keep my office door open and everything.
Wow. I'd probably have your dog next to you too.
Oh yeah, she will let me know if anything is happening,
Yeah.
even if there's an ant crawling on the ground. So.
Awesome. So if there was a movie made from this book, who would you want to cast as your main characters?
Oh my gosh, this is a really good one. And it's so funny because I've like thought about this so meticulously. And now that it's kind of being asked again, I'm like, let me really think about that. So one of my favorite models, and my main character is biracial, and I'm biracial as well too. And that's like another thing that I'm really excited about, because I feel like in young adult literature, you don't see very many characters of color portrayed, especially in romance and historical romance novels. So that was another thing that I really wanted to kind of shed light upon. And so I thought there's not too many biracial actors really out there that I can like nitpick and like say that's that one person. But one of my favorite models is Jasmine Sanders, and she's a biracial model. And I think she would do a phenomenal job as the main character, Angelica. She's a little bit older, because I believe she's in her late 30s, but I mean, she looks rockin'. So if I could make Angelica a little bit older, I would say her. And for the ghost, the Wales boy, I would probably go for I'm about to like butcher his name, but Timothy Chalamet. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's from, I think he's he's an American actor, I believe, but he's just such an awesome character, or just actor. He was in a Lady Bird. I don't know if you guys have seen that. And then he also was in Call Me By Your Name. I think that's the name of the movie. So he went from like two polar opposite characters, and is just really, you know, engrossed in how the skill of acting is and just taking on different characters. So I feel like he could bring that eerie vibe, but also that chauvinistic kind of like charismatic vibe as well too, which the main character has.
Nice.
Richie, what about you?
Well, it was weird because I just finished watching Outer Banks. Have you seen that show on
You know what? Everyone's been
Netflix?
telling me to watch that. Yeah.
So
I
like
haven't seen it though.
there's like one girl in that TV show where I thought would be great for Angelica or Angelina, yeah, whatever her name is. Sorry. It was I can't remember her name, but I think her name was like Sarah from Outer Banks. But she was like she was a biracial, but she was like the darker skinned one. But I think that would be like a great like fit because she's coming back from like Outer Banks and everything. But like and then for the Wales boy, it would also be the same dude from the Outer Banks. So I saw your trailer, and like it was some like white dude with like long hair or whatever. So it reminded me of like the guy from Outer Banks with like the long like skater dude hair. But I don't know.
So basically, I should just contact all the actors
from Outer Banks,
and be like, okay, so you know, Rich already said that you guys are perfect for these characters. So how about we make a deal right now and get Netflix on it, right?
I was going to say, Netflix will buy anything.
Yeah,
Netflix will buy anything.
This would be a great show for Netflix.
I know.
I mean, you guys have seen some of the movies that they came out with during quarantine, or even like the documentaries. I mean, how off the wall were they? They'll buy anything.
It's very true. I feel like Amazon is also kind of in that that realm. I've seen some very odd things being placed on there, which I'm pretty sure they were filmed with a 90s camcorder or their phone. I don't mean like an iPhone 11 Pro. I'm talking about the iPhone 6 or something along those lines.
So speaking of acting, have you done any projects lately, or are they mostly just halted due to the pandemic?
So the reason kind of why I got into blogging is because I'm actually with Lily's Talent and Babes and Bows. And they kind of suggested that I needed some type of social media presence. And this was back in college. So I started really early getting into blogging, but it didn't really like catch on until maybe like a year ago. So I was doing a lot of just like acting a year ago with my blog. And one of the things I was really excited about is I did an independent film, and I think this was actually 2 years ago, but I don't remember I do remember the actor's name. I actually got to meet Nick Robinson, and he was on the movie Everything Everything, and he was also in the movie Love, Simon. And I was a huge fan of his because I really loved the book Everything Everything, and he got casted as the main male character. So you kind of like get this persona in your head of how like that person is going to be. And he kind of just like blew my expectations because he was so nice. And you think like someone with this type of fame or this type of like recognition could kind of be a little stuck up, even though you hope they're not that way. But even though we had a very small cameo together, I actually played his girlfriend. But I was just like in pictures, and then we did like a really short scene for the independent film. He was just so nice. And I even remember telling him like, wow, I didn't expect you to be this way. I thought you were going to be completely different. And he told me, I was in your shoes not so long ago. So I try to respect any person that I kind of come in contact with. And that really resonated with me. And I feel like I try to be that way to other people too. I mean, even when people reach out to me and they're like starting out on acting or blogging or writing, I try to come with that warmth to them because I would want the same thing reciprocated if I was in their shoes. So it was very humbling to be able to do something like that with him.
Nice. So out of all three things, acting, modeling, and writing, what is your favorite thing to do and why?
This is so hard. I feel like I want to take like little bits and pieces of all of it. If I had like unlimited time in the world, I would do every single thing. But I think, can I pick two?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Because I feel like writing goes with blogging. So I can combine those two. but then acting really helps my writing process. And I think it's because I play different characters. So when I kind of like take that step back to become that character, that's the way that I think about it when I write. Because I mean, even all the different characters in the Whales Boy, they're all so different. I mean, I go from writing from an older father's perspective to writing a 16-year-old girl to writing, a dead ghost from the early 1900s. So I don't write in first person in this, I write in third. So you get to really see all the different perspectives of all of these characters. And I think that's the beautiful thing about having this acting background is that you get to play those characters in so many different other roles that you take that you kind of bring a little bit of that with you when you begin to write, and you want to make sure you're as authentic as possible. So I picked those two, and blogging kind of follows along with the writing, so I'll throw that in there as well too.
What about advice for somebody that wants to get started on writing? Do you have any?
For sure. I think the biggest thing is just never to give up. You're going to hear, and this is like in anything, I feel like that you're passionate about, you're going to hear no all the time. Like literally, I think I have the toughest skin just because I've been told no, like every possible way that you could be told no. And I think when you are told that, it makes you want to become even better and strive even harder. So never give up on like what you're passionate about. Because at the end of the day, I feel like we're all put in this world to do something. And when you find that and find something that makes you happy, I truly believe that you should just chase that, because I feel like more people would be happier in life if they did that. And that's, I think, one of the main things I would tell anybody is just, never give up. Don't settle for anything, because it's at the end of the day, it's your life. You want to romanticize your life and do what makes you happy.
Awesome. One last thing. Let's see. Pitch our listeners why we should read this book.
So I think one, it is, like I kind of mentioned a little bit before, it's something that's a little bit different. One of my favorite books or series is City of Bones, and it kind of dives into like the supernatural type of feel. So if you're really into stuff like that, I say this book would be great for you. Another thing is if you're kind of interested in, seeing more multicultural characters featured as main characters, I do believe that this is something else that you would be interested in, and hopefully it bridges the gap to more racial literature. And for young girls, I know one of the things when I was growing up and I was reading like Twilight, City of Bones, Pride and Prejudice, like all of those books, I never found someone that really looked like me in it. And I could never really, fully relate to the character because of that. Because I'm like, wow, this girl has blue eyes and she's very fair. Not saying that's like wrong, but it's harder for, a young biracial girl to really relate to something like that. So I want to say that like this is going to hopefully, inspire some other little girl to want to say, okay, I can do something like that too. And if you're just a huge romance buff, like savvy romance, this is for you as well too. But I think also one of the main things is just that experience of loss. I wrote this actually when my aunt had passed away from cancer. So it kind of was therapeutic for me because I couldn't really vocalize how I was feeling. So I kind of channeled a lot of my emotions into Angelica and, kind of found therapy through her and kind of having her experience some of the stuff I was experiencing and going from there. So I think hopefully this can be a way for someone that is experiencing some type of loss in their life to say, okay, I can get through this just like this character got through this. And you never know, books can do magical things. So if it could help someone like that, I could say that, I did something good and I did something for a reason.
Rachel, thanks for coming on. So The Whales Boy is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and wherever books are sold, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Awesome. And where can they find you on social media?
You guys can find me at Rachel Michella. So it's Michelle, but instead of an E at the end, you put an A.
Oh, okay, cool.
Great.
Thank you.
Do you have any other questions?
Guys.
Do you have any questions or anything for us?
No, you guys have been awesome. This was so much fun.
Thank you. Thank you
Awesome.
for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Have a good one. Be safe.
Too.
Everybody
Bye.
go check out the book, The Whale Boy,
Yeah.
on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.